Hello. I am traveling right to the very tip of Spearfish Canyon here, and I'm about to head out on Highway 85, which, by a funny coincidence, is the same highway that heads through my own town. Highway 85 down South Dakota is quite a bit different than the part that goes through my town, but it's, still not an expressway. They do have passing lanes here. I'm headed uphill. I wasn't really using the passing lanes or going at the speed limit here because, as you can see, the road was interesting. And it just got more and more interesting. Plus, I had my whole windshield wiper problem. And, yeah. So it made this trip a lot less fun than normally it would be. Ooh, see, snowplow. I ended up finally finding wipers. In fact, I'm going to conclude this video right where I get my wipers, and then we'll pick it up again and head down to Hill City, and yeah, we'll do that video. So this video is basically going to encompass the road up the hill here to Lead, and then down to Deadwood, and then just a little bit past Deadwood to a gas station where I got the windshield wipers. And instead of following a specific theme this time, I'm going to hit a couple different topics. So one of the topics I thought would be good to hit is, how do you drive on snow? Well, I'll tell you, the biggest single trick I've learned over the years to driving on snow is if you don't have to, don't do it. I, of course, am driving on a fun trip, so there is that. So what's your second best option? Well, your second best option is slow down. I mean, if you slow down, if you do get into an accident, you're not going as fast. You have more time to react. You're going at an appropriate speed for conditions. And on this road, I think it would be all kinds of fun to go off the highway. So yeah. Slow down. I have learned also that one of the biggest dangers when you're driving on snow or ice is not your own driving, it's the other driver. Like, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is horrible, I just want to get home, I hate this is a nightmare, and you're going slow, and you can barely see, and somebody passes you. They think, and I don't know what's going through their heads, but I do know that sometimes people feel a little bit more confidence than perhaps they should when they're in a four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive is nice. It can get you out of some sticky situations. But four-wheel drive isn't going to save you, and it can give you a little bit too much confidence. Now, I'm driving a front-wheel drive Toyota Camry. I learned to drive on let's see if I can say it right, a rear-wheel drive Volvo 240 station wagon, 1982 model. I'll definitely take the front-wheel drive over the rear-wheel drive, although that one wasn't too bad on snow. You just had to be careful. But even so, I figure if it's bad enough that I want four-wheel drive, is there a reason I'm on the highway? Now, if I live down here in this area, and this is the weather, and I'm commuting to work, well, guess I have to get to work. But on the other hand, where I live right now, I walk to work every day, so I don't care. I wake up in the morning, there's snow in the driveway, snow in the car, ice. Oh well, I'm walking. I don't scrape windshields. I don't do anything. Also, by the way, when you're driving on snow, watch out for snow plows. It's better not to pass them because you can get into a cloud as you pass them. It's better not to get too close, and every so often they will pull over. Sometimes I actually feel more secure following the snowplow than going ahead of it. I've had some interesting trips without snowplows. And sometimes they don't really pay attention to what they were doing. Like that one there, I was kind of nervous that he'd back out in front of me and I might not be able to stop in time. Now, we're on top of a hill. I was going to look up its name before I started recording this, but I forgot. I want to say Terry's Peak, but I might be wrong. So I know there's a ski area up here. I don't really downhill ski. I've never done it, although I should as close as I live. But I will say, does this look anything like my first video at all? And we're only 100 and some miles away from my house right here. This is a totally different world here, created entirely by elevation. The Black Hills are a little bit higher up. Now, where I live is higher up than the eastern end of the state. We do have some forest, but nothing like this. This is amazing scenery. And it's, within 2 hours drive of my house. So I'm finding myself thinking as I'm recording this, why don't I go there more often? And that does actually bring up a good point. Maybe it's something else to discuss since I think I just killed the snow discussion. Why don't I get out more? Well, one of the things with me is whenever I go somewhere, I always have to look at the cost. Not in terms of money. I mean, I'm financially secure. Not as secure as I'd like to be, but who is? But in terms of time, if I get out, it's going to take me, to go to the nearest city, which most of you would say, oh, that's a small town, is going to take me an hour and a half. That means 3 hours out of my day to go to the city. And it's Dickinson, North Dakota. I mean, there's nothing there. So about the only reason I have to go to Dickinson is because it has a better grocery store and because I want to get out of town. There's just no reason to. So is it worth 3 hours of my time to go there? And quite often, honestly, the answer is no. Now, if I go this way, it is a further trip. The roads aren't as trustworthy. And, I'm always tempted when I go down to the Black Hills to spend too much time. So, is it worth it? Well, apparently not. A lot of times the answer is I'd rather stay at home. Ooh, I'll come back to that topic. We're coming up into the town of Lead, North Dakota, or South Dakota. That is the Lead High School, I think, or junior high, one or the other there. Nice old building. Lead, a lot of the town has been put on the National Historical Register. A lot of old historical buildings here. There's a gold mine, because yes, they mine gold there. By the way, somewhere here, I don't remember exactly, yeah, it must be right there at this red light, you turn and go on Highway 85. I'm taking a different route down into Deadwood because, well, my plan at this point was to show you Deadwood, but I didn't know what was going to happen, how bad the wipers would get because the rubber on them just continued to shred. And so the trip through Deadwood was not fun, and we're not going to get as much as I'd planned. But anyway, Lead is up really high, and the streets are really steep, but what a neat looking town. In fact, probably what I should have done there is pulled off into Lead and gone looking to see if I could find wipers or an auto supply store or something, but I didn't. Learned my lesson. So anyway, it's a long downhill trek into Deadwood. You may have heard of Deadwood. There was a TV show about Deadwood a few years ago. I tried watching it. I honestly couldn't get into it. Yeah, there were a lot of politics and nice intrigues going on with it. To tell you the truth, just the violence and sex and the thing turned me off. But maybe I should go back and give it another shot because I like Game of Thrones. So maybe I just need to give it another shot. Anyway, Deadwood is probably not as exciting a beginning as that show makes out, but Deadwood was big because of the gold and so on. There were brothels until the 80s. Then there were some raids that shut the brothels down. Your typical story, I guess. I wonder if that was Central City. Somewhere here there's a town called Central City, but I don't know if that was it. That's kind of got a cool fire hall and stuff in it, which on another day I might have visited. Anyway, don't tailgate. That's another snow driving advice. But anyway, Deadwood died. It came back because of gambling. If you go to Deadwood now, it is full of casinos. There's historical stuff like Wild Bill Hickok and so on, but the casinos are what really gets it going. So then there's the high school up in Lead and the elementary school down in Deadwood. See, I didn't know this was going to happen. See how smeary it's getting on the windshield? Ugh, ruined my trip for a while. But anyway, so there's a lot of neat history in Deadwood. I've honestly, in my life, I've never stopped in Deadwood. I've driven around Deadwood. I'd planned to drive around Deadwood till I had my visibility problem here. And I just never have. I'm not a gambler. unfortunately, I made the choice to teach math and science in my life, and I now know that gambling is a tax on those people who can't do math. Basically, people don't win with gambling. Yeah, you get your people that win their prize and so on. Yeah, that's Deadwood. But and the only reason I'm in the left-hand lane is because I figured, oh, I can turn off here, and in Deadwood, I'm sure there's an auto supply store. Well, there wasn't. There might be one hidden somewhere, but I don't know my way around Deadwood, so it didn't turn out real well. Anyway, wow, I'm rambling on like every topic under the sun. You see why I changed my mind here and was like, definitely need an auto supply store. When I would run the wipers, it would just smear. It was bad. And you're not even in the worst part of the windshield. Well, anyway, so I'm driving through Deadwood here and thinking, with the gambling, if you look at the statistics, you're not going to win. Now, you always get you can't win if you don't play. Well, yeah, that's true. You may be that one person who actually does win and comes out ahead, but most people do not. And gambling, unfortunately, is addictive. Now, I wasn't running the wipers as much because I was finding that I could actually see better through the windshield. The camera doesn't show this well, but I could see better through the windshield when I wasn't wiping than when I did. The camera misleads you here. But anyway, so people say, oh, you can't win if you don't play. Well, the truth is, you're not going to be that person. The statistics are against you. So it's better to use that money more productively. Now, that attitude that leads people into gambling can be that attitude that leads them into investing in businesses and taking risks. But I believe in controlling my risks. Like if I were to invest in a business, it's got to be money I can afford to lose. I am not going to invest money in gambling because there's just there's too small of a chance of return. Yeah. Anyway, and plus, I just can't imagine just sitting somewhere and gambling, whether it's a card game, poker, the wheel thingy, whatever it is they do when they gamble. Okay, so now I realized, okay, I'm on the other side of Deadwood, no auto supply store. And I wanted a good place to turn around where I felt safe turning around, so I went up ahead a little bit, and I turned around in a parking lot here. And I'm going to head out of Deadwood because I'm basically giving up, and I'm going to try out the other side. I was tempted to actually go just out to Sturgis, but I figured, there's got to be a auto supply store on the other side of Deadwood. It's just too big of a town not to have one. Well, like I said, maybe it's there, but there's so many casinos and those kind of businesses that if there is one, it's probably in the low rent district of Deadwood, and I didn't see it. Okay, so I was talking about gambling, wasn't I? So I'm not going to do value judgments. The only moral thing I have with gambling is I don't personally believe the government should be involved. I do not like these state-run lotteries, and North Dakota is one of those states that got into having a state lottery. I don't think that's a proper function of government. If you want to blow your money on gambling, go nuts. But it shouldn't be funded by the government. That should be totally private business. Like, I don't mind a casino that's private. A lot of gas stations in South Dakota actually have casinos, which is, a little bit odd to me, but whatever. If that floats your boat, whatever. As long as you're not hurting other people, I don't care. Okay. So normally my original plan had been to go through Deadwood and actually show you the casinos. Here we're just on the highway, kind of seeing the back sides of all the casinos. Not scenic, but I was on a windshield wiper hunt and I didn't want to go in town with this visibility problem. Although it looks pretty clear here. But anywho, always stop for pedestrians. Pedestrians have the right of way and should. Okay. So, I think I made it clear I'm not a gambler. Now, do I spend too much money on frivolous things? Absolutely. Do I have bad habits? Oh, absolutely. But those are my choices that I make. And like I said, I don't mind the gambling. I think it's a ridiculous choice. Some people may think my fountain pens are a ridiculous choice. It's just not how I choose to spend my money. It doesn't bring me enough return and pleasure. I have gambled exactly one time in my life. I lost money, and I actually felt a taste of that gambling fever, thinking, oh, next time I will win. But you know what? I didn't. So, yeah, don't gamble. All right, so we're going through more of the businessy part of Deadwood without so many of the casinos. Somewhere here, I think, I can't remember. Brick Street here, by the way, there's a lot of history in this area if you're really into history. And sometime when you can actually see it through the windshield, I might have to talk about the history down here. Some of it's interesting, some of it's just kind of only if you live here do you actually care. But what I had decided I would go to the other side of Deadwood. If I can't find an auto supply store, I'm going to go out to Sturgis because I knew that I could find an auto supply store there. And I also had to go to Rapid City on this trip. So I could just go to Rapid City on the interstate and everything would be fine. And then something bad happened, which you're about to see. There was road construction. Okay, a little early for it, but whatever. I figured out I can handle road construction. This was road construction of the type that takes away all the pavement and just leaves you with bare dirt. No exaggeration. It was horrible. And I quickly decided I am not turning around and trying to go through this again because it was not fun trying to drive in it in a Camry. This is one of those times when a four-wheel drive might have come in handy. There were times when I actually thought, like, this is one of them. I honestly thought I'm going to get stuck. And I'm somebody who drives on gravel roads. I'm used to them. I grew up on them. Not in a four-wheel drive either. I'm used to them. But spots on this were that bad. And it's because they got so rutted and stuff by the heavy traffic. Well, that's why they were so bad. So, yeah, I decided I didn't really want to turn around, and I wasn't real sure what I was going to do, to be honest. And, yeah, this goes on and on forever. But you might notice one interesting thing here. The hillsides around Deadwood, not forested here. The reason is there was a forest fire a number of years ago that cleared a lot of it out. Now, fun fact, forest fire is actually a part of the ecology in this type of forest. It keeps the brush cleared out so you don't end up denuding the whole hillside. It actually opens up the seeds, or the cones, sorry, so the seeds can come out. It eliminates competition when new trees start to come up. It's actually a very healthy thing. If you don't fight, if you fight fires, then what happens is all the brush grows in, and then when a fire does start, it really takes off and just destroys everything. Usually, in the natural ecosystem, when the fire would just go through, get the brush, and it's gone, the trees are fine. Not when they let all the brush get big. And that's kind of what happened around Deadwood. What you'll find in a lot of areas around here now is they're going in and clearing, they're cutting out brush and such artificially, just to get it back to that natural ecosystem the way it was. It's not as scenic, it's not as tourist friendly, but you know what? It's better for the environment. So that's what they're doing. Now, I'm coming up on close to the close of this video, I think. Let me just double check my time. Oh, I've got 4 minutes left to babble about something. Okay, so anyway, they're kind of doing the same thing around where I live. I think I've taken you through some of the ponderosa pine forest that's in my area. We don't have the mountains to go with it, but we do have buttes and badlands and stuff to go with it. They don't have badlands, so there's that. Yes, there are South Dakota badlands right beside the Black Hills, but a little bit different from where I live. Anyway, so I'm coming up out of the hill, out of Deadwood, and I've got two options. One of the options is that there's a turn off after this gas station where I stop just for a breather. They'll take you to Rapid City. The other one will take you to Hill City. Now, my original plan had been Hill City, Mount Rushmore, and so on. And at this point of my driving, I was thinking it's going to be Rapid City. I don't know where I'm going to find wiper blades. And it was bothering me because they're shredded. They're useless, and when they wipe, they smear, and it wasn't improving the visibility. So I was very depressed, and I was thinking, why did I do this trip? Why didn't I just stay home? And I get kind of in that frame of mind some way at times. It's very easy for me to get depressed. I have to catch myself and say, no, you're getting depressed, and you're making it worse for yourself. And I have to reason with myself and force myself to cheer up and look at things more optimistically. But at this point, it was very hard for me to do. I was so depressed, I was at the point of just turning off the camera and just thinking, well, it's stupid. Why are you doing these videos anyway? Because that's how I get. I talk myself into this. And not very often, because I'm usually pretty good about reasoning with myself. But, when you get stuff like this going on that's not part of the plan, it's easy to get really knocked off my equilibrium and get into depressing squirrel. So I hate to end the video on that, but that was kind of my frame of mind right here. Now, stopped at the gas station, got wiper blades, got a cup of coffee, relaxed after driving these horrible roads. And I think the weather turned a little bit while I was in the gas station, while I was changing the wiper blades. And the rest of the trip, I went with a much better frame of mind. So the next video, we'll go to Hill City and to Keystone. And then I'll do a second video. I'm not 100% sure I'll divide it up. I might do just two and into Rapid City. And then there is a final one, the horrific roads at the end of this trip, but I haven't decided yet how I plan to handle that part. But definitely the next video is going to be from this gas station through Hill City to Keystone. Neat trip. I'm actually drinking one of the things that I found in Hill City that was kind of fun. It was, I guess I can swear on YouTube, it's called Red Ass Rhubarb. And it's good. And yeah. So I don't know if I have too much more to add. I'm just looking at this, and you think you can see the visibility issue. We've got black hills all around here, and you can't see them. That's how bad it was getting. And that there, well, apparently was not the gas station. Okay, but anyway, Hill City has some wineries. It has a steam engine in it. The steam engine is not operating at this time of year, but it is a neat place to visit, and it's right at the foot of Mount Rushmore. And by the way, not going to Mount Rushmore. I'm going to take you somewhere more interesting that you're less likely to see as a tourist. Ha! I see a little bit of my wiper blades flopping up there. So now you know I haven't been kidding this whole time about the wiper blades shredding themselves. Okay, so there's the gas station. I'm going to pull up into it and buy some wiper blades, and we'll see you again next week.